Hey guys, John here. We're going to be starting here in just a few minutes. Go on ahead and do this big favor real quick. Go over to Spotify, go over to Anchor, go over to anywhere that you can actually rate us, even Apple Podcasts and Good Pods, and rate us over there. It allows people to find us on Good Pods and Apple Podcasts and all that stuff. Sit back, relax. Alex is here with me from A-Town Reviews, of course, and he's also my new co-host. And also, too, Charlie's here as well. So let's buckle our seatbelts up for safety, and let's go on ahead and do our Batman The Dark Knight Rises. This is going to be our ending finale of our Batman rewatches. So go on ahead, sit back, relax, and we're going to go on ahead and take it away now. All right. So here we are with our Dark Knight Rises movie review. And this is actually one of my least favorites at the time because of the fact that I saw this at the theaters. I remember not enjoying it as much. This go around and everything, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I saw the film. 3 years ago, I said I would never review this film. But never say never in the world of the movie review section of a YouTube channel because I did happen to enjoy The Dark Knight Rises. There were things that I really loved about this movie a lot. Dealing with Christopher Nolan's realism, acting like Bane can actually do some of the stuff that he was doing. Also, too, this is also dealing with the corruption of Gotham with inside the Gotham City walls, and also, too, Bane exposing Gotham City for what it is, with its shady richness and also its democracy and in law. So that's something else that I really enjoyed about this film. Also, too, I want to go on ahead and start off with the budget for it, like I did with the other ones. This also had a budget of between $250 and $300 million, and it made over $1 billion once again at the box office. So that's really impressive for a third film, and also to be on top of just about on the same category as the other two films. So it's actually hard to top one sequel to the other. But I'm going to go on ahead and let the rest of us take the floor. So I'll let Alex go first, and then from there we'll go with Charlie, and then back over to me.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so I really liked this movie when I first saw it. I felt bad for it though, because it had to follow that amazing act from which was The Dark Knight. Is like it you can't. They should have just ended the series there, because anything after that wasn't gonna measure up, and that's mainly due to the amazing performance by Heath Ledger. But on its own, this movie, I really enjoyed it. I loved Tom Hardy's performance as Bane. I even loved the voice. The voice was incredible to me. It was fantastic. I was talking like this forever after watching it. But and just how he portrayed that villain, and the fight scenes were incredible. It was a nice ending. It was a nice happy ending, considering. And this movie gets a lot of flack just because, like, oh, this one's boring. And I'm like, well, you're thinking of The Dark Knight still. Just think of The Dark Knight Rises by itself. Hold it in its own light, and it's a great movie. What do you think, Charlie?
I agree. I think, well, and the other thing too, not only did it have to go up against the greatness that was The Dark Knight, it had that unfortunate shooting in Chicago.
Yeah.
Premiere. There was a lot against this movie. The hype that was The Dark Knight, and then the unfortunate situation that happened in Chicago, like that. And then I like this movie a lot. I think it was the perfect ending. I mean, and it didn't overstate its welcome. Like, no one knew going in, all right, we're actually making two other movies. Like, so that was the game plan. It wasn't the spontaneous movie, like, oh, okay, we're going to make another sequel just for the sake of making the other sequel. No, because it made sense. And the fact that it picked up 8 years later. So, and then I just love that. I love Tom Hardy in this. I thought he was fantastic as Bane. Everybody's flacking the voice. I thought it worked well. I mean, I just watched it in 4K and on my 4K Blu-ray for it, and the voice was perfect. I didn't see any of the issues with it. I honestly, and then again, that might be when you watch it, I didn't hear any of that, and then it helped with the subtitles, but I didn't have a hard time understanding what he was saying. And he represented Bane well. For me, I mean, he looked like a beast. He didn't have those He wasn't filled with toxicity or whatever, that stupid stuff that they did in the 90s. He looked really logistic, like realistic. And that's what I really appreciate with Nolan. And I mean, I've said this before. I mean, Anne Hathaway is my favorite Catwoman. She was so good. She was snarky. She had that sarcastic attitude, and yet she can kick some ass. And she was like, I mean, the sequence I love the most is when she's arrested and she's in the prison about why did you put in her one with other females? And they said she would have found a way to break out. And this one goes like, "Hey, pretty lady, what's going on?" And she did the cartwheel with the guy's hands and broke his hand. and then the warden was like, "She's gonna fit in here just fine." And it's just, I don't know. It's just she just had really good chemistry with Bruce, and for me, it worked. And then the other funny thing I loved is this was the start of the world's going to hell, so an explosion's about to go off. Let's make out. Because they did that, the sequence, like, fine, I guess we're suckers then. So you have Bruce and Catwoman making out. And then a couple years later, probably about 6 years later, we had the kiss that caused 1,000 explosions in Aquaman. The sequence where Amber Heard and Jason Momoa are making out while in the background you see people are dying, there's explosions. So that's what the start of this was. Okay, the world's about to blow up. Let's make out.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Like, why? I guess we're suckers then. And she worked for me. Like, and then again, I guess it's a generational thing. I think Anne Hathaway for me just worked. She was great as the cat. I mean, she was like she's no, and then like this the comment, like this the back and forth between her and Batman. No guns. Well, what's the no guns, no killing. Well, what's the fun in that? And you see her just like just beating the shit out of people. Like, I really like this movie. Is it better than Dark Knight? No, but it doesn't have to be. It's its own movie. That then like to go on what you said, Alex. This is what this movie being its own, and the movie doesn't feel long at all. For 2 hours and 45 minutes, it goes by pretty quick.
You know what though? I was thinking why at first I might have not liked it in the theater was the slow pacing of it because of the fact you see Bruce hobbling around on his cane and stuff like that, but it was also him at that time and everything. But we didn't get other shows like Daredevil or anything like that. So this is like if you were watching an episode on Netflix featuring Batman, this would actually be something that Netflix would do. Have the implications of him fighting crime for 8 years and showing the implications on his body and stuff like that. So that was something that I can say I really did appreciate this go around, to be honest with you. And also, too, I liked how he goes into the doctors, and the doctors are explaining the fact that there's no cartilage there. But there is the fact that, you know, it is a slower pacing film, but once you get past that slow burn, it doesn't slow down after that. And that's something I really appreciated with this film, was they had to show the implications after 8 years of fighting crime. And I like how they normalized Bruce, gave him more of a realism kind of look to him, because everybody depicts him, even in the 80s, as like he's like an unstoppable moving force when he's just a human being in a bat suit. And yes, we did see him being bruised up whenever in Batman Returns. Yes, we did see him bleed a little bit and stuff like that, but not on the severity level that we got to see with this film and the implications behind it. So that's something I really did like. And also, too, the Harvey Dent situation. And I like the fact that they didn't ignore the Harvey Dent stuff, and they presented it with in like the first few minutes, and that was actually the representation of Gotham City. So I like how they did that. The Anne Hathaway scenes were fantastic. I have to say, Michelle Pfeiffer is still good for me. I'm going to be honest with you, because like you said, it's a generation thing, but I still love the sassiness of Anne Hathaway and the way that she does things and the way she carries herself inside this jail cell with such physique, just finesse, to be honest with you, the way she handles things. And, well, what do you mean no guns? Well, what's the fun in that? Like you said, Charlie, this movie is fun. It's entertaining. The stuff with Bane was really good. And that's one of the things I have to say, too, real quick, and then I'll go back with Alex on it. But whenever I looked at Batman and Robin, I didn't get the Bane that I wanted. Because Bane is so much more than that one whole... They basically made him into, like, Hulk smash kind of thing. You press the button, he gets angry, and then he starts doing a bunch of random stuff that's not even part of what he does. With this one, they did something smart with it. Did I want the Venom stuff? Yes, I wanted the actual Venom stuff on how he becomes Venom and stuff like that, but that wasn't what they were going for. So I'm like, okay, so this is what they're going to give me. So I'm going to go with it. And I liked how they make Venom actually smart, because that's who Venom is, even in the Batman Rebirth stuff with I Am Batman. And that was the smartest thing, because I remember seeing a battle between them. It's like like 5 pages of them just fighting back and forth to the death, basically, in that comic. And then they actually showed the back breaking on this film. I'm like, I was fanboying, but at the same time, I'm like, ooh, that made me hurt. But but still, the effects in this movie, the sound effects was really good. But still, I'm gonna go on ahead and let Alex say a few things as well.
Yeah, that bat breaking scene was epic. Like, just that scene in general was beautiful. What is like comic accurate? Like, Bane was the first villain to actually break the bat. Like, not even the previous movie, like Joker or Ra's al Ghul, they weren't able to do it.
Right.
And just seeing that scene in like live action was incredible. And I remember I was watching this one YouTube video talking about how Tom Hardy just performs that scene perfectly for a villain. Just how he like shows how confident Bane is in this fight, where he knows where Batman is in the shadows in those scenes, but he just turns his back to him to show that like he's not afraid. And then when he just turns around, just grabs him. It was like, such a great scene. But the one thing I do have to complain about with the Nolan movies, and this is me nitpicking, is I don't really care for the realism aspect. Like, I liked the idea of Batman fighting these super powered beings, because it made Batman more intimidating, more of this imposing presence on the villains. Like, that was a big thing about the comic. So I too would have liked to have seen Bane have the Venom like Venom serum in him, because like, that's a big thing of Bane. That's what keeps him going. And it
the same way.
And you kind of get like a taste of that towards the end of the movie when Batman messes up his mask and he starts freaking out. It was like, it's kind of like a little shout out to the comics, because like when you would disconnect Bane's tubes in the comics or the games, he would freak out too. But I never felt like the Batman in these movies was truly Batman. It felt like it was very held back, and I think the realism played a big part in that. I did enjoy it, but I would have enjoyed it more personally as a geek if there were more superpower. And hopefully the new Batman movies do that a bit. Like, I know Riddler's first. I'm hoping. I know Riddler's like the first villain, but like, I hope they step it up a notch.
That's what I'm hoping as well, to be honest with you, man. That's one thing that I was actually hoping. I remember still seeing the still photos, right? I'm like, okay, so he doesn't have the Venom serum yet. Okay, maybe this is like an origin story of how he gets the serum and everything. That's okay. It's fine. Then the next set of photos come out. I'm like, this is not the bit. Nope, this is not what I'm thinking. Right?
Still doesn't have it.
Nope. There's no Venom serum here. No, sir. But and then also too, I was also thinking the same thing with the Scarecrow in the first movie, because of the fact because of the animated style of how we picture and envision Scarecrow to be, right? So whenever I saw that, I'm like, wait, it's just some guy with a beanbag over his head. That's my first initial thought in high school. But then after that, I saw it and everything, and I started maturing a little bit with it, and I ended up enjoying it.
I saw what you said in the chat, Charlie, about them potentially having Mr. Freeze in the new Batman sequel. I'm for that, because like if they're still going for like the realistic aspect, like Freeze is someone you can potentially still make more realistic. But I just personally like don't get me wrong, I love the villains in these shows, in movies, but I like I want my villains to be super powered. I want them to be like these unstoppable forces of nature until Batman shows up. And that's what makes Batman so cool to me, because like he's just a man and he's going up against like in the comics against Bane, he's going up against a guy with the serum that makes him larger and super strong, but even that guy's afraid of Batman. You know, I always wanted that kind of presence from Batman, and like these movies haven't really gave that to me.
I love the bat breaking scene. I knew once they added Bane, I knew they were gonna break his back. And it's like they're gonna break his back in this one, and yet knowing they're gonna break the back and seeing it and the way he says, "What should I break first, your soul or your body?" And then he just like manhandles him. I was like, "Damn!" Like that made me like, ooh, that was like an intense sequence, and or just, I mean, I just love the build up to him and Catwoman and them. Like this just shows you the two of them work well together. He's right behind you where I am, and he just grabs the guy when the guy just walks into him. But no, I mean, I love the opening though for this movie, which is the IMAX sequence, the whole scene on the airplane of where you see Bane, and then how they're able to do. I mean, Nolan knows what he's doing when in terms of these visual effects. He's not Tom Cruise, but he doesn't have to be Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is his own category. We're doing your own stunts with zero G and stuff. Just that opening sequence and the way, like, how meticulously these guys were. Like, okay, I need to suck the blood out of this guy. All right, we're gonna inject him while in the air, hanging. Like, this stuff is like it's like you can't believe you're seeing this, and yet it can actually happen. But I mean, it's just, yeah, Bane for me, it just worked, and then I just liked how he kind of turned into him about that whole story of like, and how his face was so like it must have been so bad that they refused to like take the thing off, like and like when you see him beat up and that. But I gotta say, I love seeing Liam Neeson back in this one briefly, because that mustache on him still looks great. I appreciate the master, but just him showing back up, yet he's dead, but yet then again he kind of isn't. And I like how they kind of tied it back to the League of Shadows.
Right.
I agree. I didn't necessarily. I thought the reveal was like shocking, but yet kind of like, what for Talia? I mean, again,
yeah. To be honest with you,
I got a nitpick. Yeah, I mean, I know when there's some stuff I didn't like for this. I didn't like Natalia, and I didn't like. Is that how she died? Okay, like I mean, there's some I didn't like that, and I really didn't like the Matthew Modine character. He was just like he was the guy that was all talk, but once a way he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm gonna do what Jim Gordon never did: catch the Batman. And I just quoted Morgan Freeman. Good luck. Like, and how he's like he didn't. So and then I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this. I thought he was great as Blake, as the hotshot cop or whatever, hot-headed cop or whatever. Like, and then this the witty comebacks he comes right back at, like and it's like, oh, are you sure we got the right guy? Like, I mean, but I didn't care for Matthew Modine's character. I thought he was just kind of like a wuss. Like when it goes to he goes back and hides at his house. And then when he comes out, he was trying to act patriotic. Oh, yeah, I'm going to shoot at this tank. And then you see Talia, kill them all. Like, just no motion. Kill them all. And he's dead. I'm like, okay.
I didn't feel nothing for that character, to be honest with you. I mean, even whenever he said, I'm going to do what no one's been able to do before. I'm going to catch the bat. I'm like, you are a dumbass.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. I'm like, there's literally a robbery being taken place. This is why you're on the mission in the first place, so you can get the robbers. You're not there to get Batman, and everything. And here he is going, I'm going to do what Jim Gordon has never done. Newsflash, Jim worked with Batman. Right.
Plot twist. He worked with Batman.
Right.
Yeah, like they're lovers.
They were lovers.
Yeah, they're the true lovers that the Joker and Batman never. You really thought they had a relationship? Just you wait. No, and I also thought it was like some of the comedic moments were funny. Like the cop was like the one cop, like the one rookie cop, and you see the old veteran cop, like, oh, you're in for a treat tonight when the Batman shows up, and then the cop tries to shoot Batman, and like, what are you doing? No. He's like trying to like back. He's trying to tell Batman he didn't do anything. He's innocent. Leave him alone. Like, but I mean, I feel bad for Bruce in this whole movie.
Me too.
Really feel bad. I mean, and I love the doctor sequence. Like the sequence you see, normal legs have cartilage. You got no cartilage, and it's funny. I'm a huge Thomas Lennon fan, so him as the Doctor was funny. So I really don't recommend you to go hella skiing or whatever the heck he was like that. And I loved how, like, even though he's Bruce Wayne, that cane was still a gadget. To him to get down there, like to rappel down, I'm like, wow, his knee must not be that messed up for him to do that. Again, I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Basically, the Doctor was already telling what he already knew.
Pretty much.
Oh, I know
Yeah,
that
but I mean, I really feel bad for Bruce. They took his money. He took the mother's pearls, and this is the Bruce Wayne that actually has something in common with Ben Affleck's. Then both of their Lamborghinis get stolen by women, because you see Diana Prince stole it from him in Batman vs Superman, and I think it was my wife, and I think both of them like lied to the car hop. So both of them are like, they both like to get their car stolen, and then Alfred's reaction, like in this one, is like, "So are you expecting somebody?"
He just gives her that little snarky joke to him, and Bruce is like, "Just shut up. I don't want to talk about it."
I mean, I also feel bad for Alfred. Like, I mean, like I kind of like, because like, I mean, he's trying to help Bruce, but there's only so much he can do. And then I felt like he could have, like, if he'd been in this movie, maybe it might change, been a little bit different. But I kind of like the idea of Alfred leaving, so Bruce has to figure out stuff on his own.
Exactly.
And I really like that about this, about leaving him at, and then because when you leave Bruce on his own, he makes stupid decisions like, okay, I just met you, I'm gonna hook up with you right now.
Bruce home alone.
Like,
that's how you solve problems. That's how you solve problems. Hey, let's go back to the crib and let's boink, and we'll figure everything out.
Well, go back to the crib. That's not even technically his, because it was leased, because it was locked out. He was able to keep the house, but they took away the electricity, so it wasn't really his house. It was like he's kind of like, he breaks into his own house. So it's just like, okay, and then he sleeps with Talia, or sorry, Miranda Tate. Sorry, that was the name, but and then and then Morgan Freeman's still just great in this. Like,
it's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah,
right.
We don't need to talk about. He's great. Yeah,
he's great.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
But going off of what you said, though, Charlie, too, this is something I really wanted to talk about, was Natalia thing, too. Mm-hmm. I'm like, come on, we already know that you're going to be Ra's al Ghul's daughter. That's the first thing that I thought of when I first saw the accent and stuff like that. And there's something, she's Ra's al Ghul's daughter. That's plain and simple. The plot twist, though, with it not being, with the love interest of Bane loving her and everything, that was a twist in a sense for me at the theater, not expecting it. And then I forgot all about it. Then I got surprised again by the same surprise that I got surprised with when I first saw the movie, because I forgot all about it, to be honest. But yeah. I forgot all about that too, though.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, John.
But another thing, though, too, that I do have to say is that she's very one-dimensional. There's no layers to her. Basically, she is what she is, and that's it. There's nothing where it's like, I'm dark, I need to be mysterious. It's like she's right there in the center. Every single time when something bad goes on, she's there. That's plain and simple. Bruce needs to go home and check on and goes to the house. She's there. When Morgan Freeman and them are down there looking at the technology stuff, guess what? Something winds up happening, and she's there. So it's like every single time she's there, that's when things go down. But I actually do like the blood transfusion stuff that you were talking about, Charlie, at the very beginning. I thought that was pretty entertaining. Now, here's the thing with the voice and everything in the theater. I could not understand him because of the surround sound, which is understandable. This go around, I'm able to understand him because of the fact I didn't have subtitles on or anything. It just seems like I was able to understand him better this go around compared to the surround sound. But, coming off of this, I really enjoyed also too the other thing too with whenever he's fighting Bane. There's no background music or anything like that, like they normally show in action films. Normally you would actually have like a Hans Zimmer score, for example, in another film, not in a Batman universe or anything like that. But normally you would actually see the score going down as Batman is fighting somebody. This one, yet again, just like the Dark Knight, no background music. It's just straight up action, and then it's just a slugfest between the two of them, which is something that I really liked. And also, too, another thing I want to mention is about Alfred. Alfred is over there watching tape on Bane about how fast he moves. It's like watching Rocky movies, right? Where you have the manager Mickey looking at him and goes, "Hey kid, you should not go in there. This guy is faster than you. He's 10 times your speed. He's a trained basically a trained mercenary who got exiled from Ra's al Ghul for a reason. You do not need to be going toe to toe with him." And so even your cat agrees with that. But
Sorry.
but no, it's cool, man. It didn't throw me off track. I just had to throw that in there, but as a little joke,
nice.
right? But what did you think, though, man? I mean, what did you think about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick to the reason that Mary, like, she's just there every time something bad happens. I gotta quote the other movie that Nolan came out 2 years earlier, Inception. To quote Dom, she's just a shade. And that's essentially what her character was in Inception, the shade. She was just a shade of his imagination, and that's what she was in this one. She's just a shade. And I had to throw that in there from that great the Chris Nolan movie. Go ahead, Alex.
When they had the Talia plot twist, I was just like, oh, okay, I guess so. I mean, I was having a good time with Bane, but all right, Talia's the villain. Okay, I guess that means we're not getting Damien anytime soon, because like she ends up dying. So I'm like, I was like, oh, they had sex earlier, so Damian Wayne's coming. Nope, she's dead. All right, car crash, right in the stomach too. So the baby's gone. That's the thing with that. I felt like they should have, if Talia was going to end up being the villain, like she should have been introduced sooner. Like maybe not say that, oh, Miranda Tate's Talia, but like have it be known that Bane is working for Talia al Ghul or something. Just something, to build her up, because she just, appears all of a sudden like, I'm Talia al Ghul. And I'm like, I don't care. It's the same thing. You just took Bane's place, but you're not doing it as good a job as Bane was. And then going back to the opening scene, the airplane, like that was just a perfect opening, like a perfect way to introduce a villain, like very similar to The Dark Knight. It was just like, yes, that's how you introduce a villain. That's how you show how intimidating they are, just how cool he was. Like, once again, I loved his voice. Like at first, when I first saw it, I was like, that sounds kind of silly, like an evil Sean Connery. But like the more that I watched this movie and the more I just listened to it, it's just like a very calm, but just imposing. Like you can just feel Bane's presence looming over you, even though like Tom Hardy isn't that big of a guy. Just the presence he gave with that voice and just his stature was so intimidating to me. I was like, so that whole scene was just, it was money. I loved it. But I definitely could have done without Talia. That could have just not have been a thing. I'm like,
they friend zoned him.
Yeah,
friend zoned Bane.
I didn't need that either. Like that was weird. Like, oh, you're in love with her? You rescued her when she was a little girl. I'm like, yeah, she's an adult. Yeah, she's an adult by the end of the movie, but it's still just like, no, I don't need that. He's like 30 years older than her, or whatever, however old he's supposed to be. I personally thought it was really funny, but also messed up how Batman had just gotten out of rehab, and then Bane immediately breaks his back. And I'm like, my dude just got out of the crutches, my guy. He's back in the hospital or in the pit.
Mm-hmm.
It was just fun.
I didn't pick up on the Talia thing, so it was kind of like, wow. And then now I'm like, yeah, that I didn't know there was a romance between the two of them. I just know the Bane just protected Talia and got her out of the pit. I didn't see any romance between the two of them. The only romance I saw was Talia sleeping with Bruce Wayne. That was about it. I didn't pick up on any of the and because I think the two of them probably, like Bane and Talia, they respected each other to the degree I didn't pick up on the romance aspect of it. Then again, I wasn't even thinking about it.
Well, there's actually a quote that she winds up saying that, well, Bane loves me. And that's actually one of the quotes that I think that she winds up saying.
like a daughter or like a sister in a sense. I didn't pick up on the whole. I don't know where you guys' minds are going to on this one. Then again, I
that's
should
just
mention
what the homie was feeling. The
Yep.
way he was looking at her,
Especially when the tears are flowing
the
on
way
Bane's
he was
face.
looking at her, he was like,
I don't know. I didn't pick up on that. I wasn't thinking about that. I just know she's like that. I was just too distracted by the reveal, like, and then, but I thought the blowing up the stadium. I thought that sequence was like intense, and it's probably one of the second best halftime show that wasn't really a halftime show, and it's just like he just shows up. And everybody's blown up, and then he goes and he just shows up, and everybody's like scared. I'm like, they're paying attention, and then he just snaps the guy's neck on live TV. Mayor's blown to hell, and he actually had real NFL players play for the Gotham Knights. You had Big Ben Roethlisberger, you had Hines Ward, you had actual football players, and then I think that was Hines Ward that or someone returning that that was for a touchdown. So I was like, I hate to be a dick, but that was touchdown. I don't care.
That still counts towards my fantasy team.
It's touchdown. But I could have been the dick. I hate to be the dick, but I foul, illegal block in the back. So he has to start back where the hole was. So that's where the ball takes over or whatever. But that was like, I mean,
4th and inches.
I mean, that's literally over the weekend when we had the halftime performance. They said the second best halftime performance, and it was Bane, and you see Bane's face, and but I mean, just that whole build up to that sequence is so intense when you see Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and then that trick shot he does where he shoots the gun off the metal and it ricochets into the guy. I thought that was like, he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was interesting that, of course, the guy that blows the frickin' bridge is Joey Quinn from the Dexter. The guy.
I thought okay, so that's where I saw him from, because the whole time because remember when we were doing our Dexter review, I'm like, I know I've seen him somewhere, I just couldn't place it. Yeah. So that's where I've seen that dude. I mean, that guy at.
I saw it. I was like, "Damn it, Joey Quinn! You can't just do anything right.
Come on, Joe.
You almost killed everybody."
But another thing, though, too, that I remember, there's also a Fast and the Furious cameo in this movie too. Hector's in there from the original Fast and the Furious, so it's a family movie. But another thing, though, too, like you were saying, Charlie, with the whole entire thing with the football team, I love that scene. I remember seeing that in the theaters and just being mind blown by that sequence and how real it looked. And also, too, I also had a friend of mine that's a producer that works within the Hollywood limits and everything, too. He was actually an extra in that movie on that scene and everything, too. So, I've been wanting to ask him, but he's been busy and everything.
Did he blow up? Or did he collapse like
that? Here, just stand here and then pretend to fall.
Okay. Stuntman. Stuntman. Like, okay.
Excuse me, Dan. I'm just wondering, did you blow up in that scene?
Did
you die?
All right, I'm running. Oh shit! My fiend's playing. All right, Stuntman, get in here.
Right.
You're doing the falling for me. This is not what I paid for. I'm not a stuntman. Stuntman, you gotta get in there. You gotta fall. You gotta collapse. You gotta go down the hall. Okay, good. All right, I'm good.
I would love to do that.
But still, dude, that scene was haunting. It was menacing. Also, too, made you feel for the people of Gotham, and they're stuck in this auditorium, this stadium that you can't evacuate from because you're stuck there. Because think of it like this: you're trying to evacuate, you have to climb over everybody just to try and get down to the stadium. No matter if they say, "Okay, everybody, just stay calm in a calm way, and we're going to escort you out," and that doesn't work either. Because you still have to get up and you have to wait patiently as everybody's going down the stadium steps. Meanwhile, you're trapped there with everybody, and then Bane's over there blowing stuff up. That's horrifying, to be honest. And I loved how they actually captured that. That was just mind-blowing. Then, of course, Bruce is down there in the pit rehabilitation center. That's what I like to call it. But this is actually To be honest with you, whenever he's climbing out of that pit and he's trying to climb out of it and then he falls, I felt for him. I'm like, because I was actually hurting when I saw him do that. I'm like, dude, just stay where you're at. Don't do nothing. You know what I mean? But I just felt so bad for Bruce with that scene. Because I actually had to close my eyes because I forgot he actually misses his step the first time when he has to go and jump over to the other corner and he falls. I'm like, ooh, that I actually closed my eyes because of that, because I had that sinking feeling in my stomach. Like I felt like I was actually on that wall with Bruce.
The other celebrity that I just didn't really
no, go on in.
The other funny thing is the president that was like, it was the actor William Devane. He's the one that I remember him because he played the president or secretary or senator or whatever in 24. So I just remember him like 24. Oh yeah, that's right. He's being typecast as the guy that doesn't do anything. It's Jack Bauer has to come in. I'm like, come on, Jack, get in there, get in there and kick some ass. So it's just like I just had to mention that. It's like, man, so many of these people I've seen before. Oh yeah, that's right. He was the president that Jack Bauer had to save like 24/7, 365.
Could Jack Bauer defeat Bane? Could he defeat Jack Bauer?
Well, he's like he says damn it and he says damn it like all the time, and yet he gets the job done no matter what the cost. It doesn't matter how many people he has to kill. He's like a PG-13 version of Peacemaker in a sense. It doesn't matter who he has to kill, men, women, children, to get the job done. Jack Bauer would do it, and I know Jack Bauer would get killed easily by Bane. Easily. He get like one easy shot in there. He goes, damn it, and then Bane would just break his back.
Goodbye, Jack Bauer.
Go ahead, Sean. I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Oh, no, man, you're good. But yeah, I also want to talk about Jason Todd. I also want to talk about Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character though too. I like the martial arts that he does. I like the action sequences with him. You actually care about him, and he also gave Bruce a chance to actually explain himself and everything about why he isn't Batman, why people are hunting him down, and also too, he also gave Bruce hope as well. And like, you know what? People really do need the Batman, regardless of the fact of how I may feel. I need to go ahead and do this. And that's something that I really liked about his character. He gave him a sense of hope and everything to where he needs to be Batman again. And even whenever he's inside the pit, you wind up seeing Joseph Gordon-Levitt marking each territory for Batman to go through because he still believes in hope. He still believes in Batman. And I was like, well, if I were you, I would believe in something else, but not him. But there's also another, There's also another.
Crushed by Bane.
There's actually another thing though too inside that court scene. Now I heard rumors back whenever this was filming that originally it was supposed to be the Joker that was actually the court judge, and basically Bane was actually supposed to be on the side of him, and then also Scarecrow on the other side as well. And that would have been pretty cool to actually see him. And also too, I can picture Joker. To be honest with you, I can picture Heath Ledger's Joker in one of those old wigs and pretending to be the judge. I can just picture that in him just sentencing people to be exiled or to be executed. And that would have been awesome to see, just to know that he might have the chance to actually do that. I was like, man, Heath, I feel bad that you're gone, dude.
He would have made him die by exile. Yeah, it's not just execution. I just love go on that scene. I love the Scarecrow, like when Gary Oldman's like Gordon got captured. I am not walking out on that ice. Death it is by exile. Like I was like just seeing the Scarecrow back as the judge during the executioner, just right there in that small role. I thought that was hysterical. It didn't seem forced. It worked.
Definitely.
I feel like they could. I feel like the story was they were planning on going a completely different direction if Heath Ledger hadn't died, because it would have been cool to see like Joker have like a turf war against Bane or Scarecrow and stuff, because like those people definitely don't like each other. So R.I.P. Heath Ledger. We were talking about the pit earlier, and I really love that scene of him trying to progress his way out of it. Just like the whole point of the Dark Knight Rises, he's rising up out of his lowest point in his life. And metaphorically, that was always a strong moment in the film for me. My cat's yelling at me. What do you want? I'm so sorry. But yeah, I just love that scene so much. I thought it was so inspiring, especially when towards the end when he finally caught that one ledge. I'm like, yay! So now he's just free to come out of the pit. That was one thing I didn't understand. It's like, is the pit like under a certain government or something? Like, where is the pit? Did they ever say where it is? It's just, I was like, is it somewhere near Gotham? Is it in another country? Like, is it like, where did these people come from? Like, who allows this pit to exist? But I just love that scene so much. And yeah, that's it. It's just beautiful, emotional.
Yeah.
Gets me going. Sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That was nothing. I liked his character. I would have preferred if Christopher Nolan had just said F it and called him Dick Grayson instead of whatever name he had in the movie. But
I know
give him
why.
a Robin name,
right.
But
I actually know why they did that, though. And it's been in past interviews that he did that. He said it was just a tip of the hat to the comics. And if the director wanted to go in that direction, which is why they gave... Christopher Nolan at the time was done with 3 Batman films. He didn't want to do any more Batman films. So he left it up to the next director, if they chose to do so, to have Joseph Gordon-Levitt in their film, if they choose to go in the same direction that he went in. So that's why they did that. He said, as far as the Robin character, that was never intended to be the actual Robin character in itself. That was like a tip of the hat to the comics, in a sense, showing homage to the comics, sadly. But still, I would love to see the Robin character anyways. Just name him Robin is all I'm asking.
Or even just having like, it was cool when they had him like in the Bat Cave at the end of the movie, and I'm like, oh, is he about to become Nightwing? And you've seen those Photoshop pictures of him and like what Nightwing's costume would look like, and I'm like, that would be so cool.
My dad wanted that. Like my dad loved the ending of this. He loved passing the torch to him, especially the reveal of Robin. But to go on your idea of the turf war, they kind of did that in the Harley Quinn series in like season 2. Like each bad guy's got their own little turf. It's not it's animated, but the Harley Quinn show is absolutely fantastic because we get the greatest character ever. Hey ladies, it's Kite Man. Hell yeah. You get Kite Man, literally you get Kite Man in the show, and the Harley Quinn show is absolutely fantastic. It's on HBO Max. If you haven't seen the show, it's bonkers, F-bombs, violent. It's animated, and Kaylee Cuoco is fantastic as the voice as Harley Quinn. It's a great show. But that turf, but like you said about the whole scene of Bruce Wayne getting out of the pit, you just it's building to it. Like you're like, all right, let's do it. Get him back in there. You just knew he was going to get out of there, but yet you get the you knew it was going to happen, but you get that satisfaction. You're more satisfied when you see him, like when he like sees the bats, like you knew he's going to fly. Like you knew he was going to fly, and he grabs it, and everybody starts cheering, and I'm like, yeah, you got out of there. And then, like, again, I think it's somewhere overseas where it is, because when you hear the story of Ra's al Ghul, Talia's father, in that brief where you see that he was overseas and something of that nature, like they didn't tell you where, or they might have. I don't fully know, but I think it's somewhere overseas. And I was like, okay. And then like the timeline of it. So this is like, and then when we discuss the ending, this is where I'm going to go into my theory of why he survived. And it's not really theory. I think it's truth. I'm just going to say it. Batman survived. He survived. And then we can get into that next. But and I'll tell you that in a bit. But yeah, I mean, they've just seen him get out of the pit. And then not only that, but the great guy that he is, he lowers the rope. He could have been the dick. You know what? Nah, you guys are on your own. But then he actually put the
he cuts it,
or he cuts it. Yeah, but no, he just lets the rope down because that's who he is, and I think that's the whole point of the Rises. He's right. And then like hence the scene with the father. Why did we fall, Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up. So Batman's fallen. He needs to rise again, and that hence the I mean, there's a lot of like meaning to it, and this one's all about like resurrection. scenes, and that one definitely it nailed it to the T. But yeah, love that sequence in the pit.
Same here as well. I love this. The pit scene was actually one of my favorite things, and of course, whenever Bruce winds up seeing what they're doing to his city, he's like, "No, I'm not having this. I can either choose to die here, or I can choose to live and get out of this mess that I'm in." And that's what he does. He can rise above it, or he can go ahead and die. And that's what he does. He winds up trying to do push-ups. The doctor's over there looking at him like he's crazy. He goes, "No, there's other things you can do before you have to do that. It's basically crawl. You have to crawl before you can walk again." And he puts him into that rope and makes him have that sling over him on his back and everything. I really was, to be honest with you, I really felt his pain on that. To be honest with you, stretching his back like that. And then also too, another thing that I wanted to bring up was the fact whenever he's bringing the Wall Street down, when Bane is bringing Wall Street down and stuff like that, I like that. And also like the sewer idea of him living in the sewers and also tapping into everybody's little secrets, because God knows what gets lost down there. And that's also another thing they tried to do with the Penguin in Batman Returns, but they did it better with Bane, because he actually can go in ahead and he knows where each thing is because he's living underground. And he's able to access it through the underground, and that's who Bane is. And I think even in the comics, he's even that haunting and menacing. And, this is another thing I want to bring up is I remember reading articles where basically, too, that Dave Bautista had meetings with Warner Brothers. Some people were speculating maybe he might actually be in Bane, be playing Bane. But there's nothing to confirm that or anything like that. He just had basically he had meetings with Warner Brothers in DC. But what I like to see him is that his acting has gotten better, but also too, I don't want a one-dimensional Bane either. I don't want it to be because here's the thing. I love Dave Bautista. I love how humbled he is with things. And he understands that he's not the best actor, which is what he also said during the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, too. He goes, I get the scripts that are best set for me on what I can do in my performance level. And that's what I get. And at that time, he was not performing the best. But once you wind up watching, like, the zombie movie that he was in, part of Zack Snyder, he's actually getting better with that. His comedy stuff, not so much, but in my opinion, but as far as his action stuff and giving the character the layers that he needs sometimes, he's actually diving into it a little bit more. And that's, but if he can actually capture that with Bane, I'm all for it. But I don't want it to be a one-dimensional Bane. I want it to be a Bane where he has layers to him, where he's haunting, he's menacing, he's someone that you should not be messing with.
Right.
He's great at direct, though. He's great. I mean, because he's an idiot. He's like, he does, and then I think that for me, sorry, I didn't mean to cut in Alex, but he was great as when I first heard about it, he's cast as Drax and Guardians. I'm like, okay, because I knew how quirky the comics were, and yet when you watch him, like when you just watch what he does in the Guardians movies, it fits him and it was perfect. Like just the whole idea of that. Oh, like it's like, you know that metaphor just went over your head. Like, no, it didn't. My reflexes are too good. They'll catch it. Like, and he's like, and then like on the press tour when you see it's raining cats and dogs. Really, cats and dogs are raining outside. It's just like it fits him. He's kind of like I hate Channing Tatum. Yet when he acts like an idiot, I enjoyed it. I mean, I loved him in the 21 Jump Street movies.
Oh,
and I thought he was great in those movies, and I'm really interested in checking out the Lost City movie in March with him and Sandra Bullock, and how he's the suave kind of guy that's on the poster thing for this book that Sandra Bullock wrote, and so oh, I'm gonna save you. You're caught. I'm gonna save you, and he's an idiot. Like, he's got leeches on his back, and he's like, all right, I need to suck you need to get the leeches off. Oh my god, they're in my body. Like, and he just faints. And then he had the Brad Pitt character with a mullet come in there. I'm here to save you. Oh my god, why you look so well? Like, I don't think she needs help down there. And there's an explosion, and Brad Pitt's pushing her on a wheelbarrow. See fire blowing up in the background, and Channing Tatum's like, what? I was here to save you. But again, I think it works. Like I said, I don't like Channing Tatum, but I like him when he's an idiot. When he's acts like an idiot because he's an idiot, it works. Like Dave Bautista, again, I agree. I liked him in Army of the Dead. I liked him in that. Didn't like how it ended, but that's for another that's for our other review, and you can check that out on our YouTube page. But yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I could, after his performance in Army of the Dead, and I'm going to try to be nice because I don't care for Zack Snyder, but I will compliment Dave Bautista. I liked his performance in Army of the Dead, and like seeing him in that, seeing he does a better job of like the more serious action role just from that performance alone. So I could see him being an intelligent yet intimidating Bane. I think a script could be made for him, and it could work. I like Dave Bautista a lot. He has the size, he has the temperament for it, I feel like. He has experience being a bad guy. He was a bad guy for a while in WWE, so I could see him succeeding as Bane, hopefully in one of the Robert Pattinson sequels that they plan on doing with the Batman. Or you can just have him be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and play as Mr. Freeze and just fill him with ice puns, which will also be acceptable in my case.
I could just see them going I could just see him going back and forth though with that, where basically Dave doesn't understand the puns that he's saying. He goes, what does he mean by freeze everybody? Freeze?
Hey everyone, chill.
I do want to talk about that awesome IMAX shot sequence. So like again, I love the different like because at first I didn't pick up on it until I started seeing the different like how the screen keeps moving back and forth. I think it's because it was IMAX, not IMAX. So it's widescreen, big screen, widescreen. I loved how they did that. Okay, let me take care of this guy. Go ahead, John. Let's talk about that big battle sequence with the police versus the League of Shadows.
Yeah, what they do is completely stupid though too. Mm-hmm. They wind up shooting at a freaking tank, acting like that they can go ahead and kill some. You have M16 guns. That's not getting through to them. Then you also have them trying to fight mercenaries hand-to-hand combat, which cops can handle some situations, but not hand-to-hand combat with mercenaries. I understand that you're wanting this big hurrah scene of the police are taking back their city. It's not going to work well with you when they have a tank. You need a bat. You need a bat wing. You need a bat. Is basically what I'm saying. You're going to need one of those flying objects that Bruce has, or you're going to need a tank yourself to fight off against them. Doing that, no, you're just asking for more problems than you already have. In the words of Jay-Z, you have 99 problems, but it isn't one. And so,
the tank is definitely one.
There you go. But yeah, that to me, it was. I felt it comical in a sense because of the fact it looked like dark humor in a sense because of the fact that they're shooting going after a tank with M16 guns, automatics, and they have 10 times the artillery than the cops do. That's not going to work. You're just asking to die.
That kind of reminds me of have either of you seen The Last Action Hero?
Yeah,
I think that's what it is, with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I love that movie.
And he's just like, he's shooting at the car. And he's just like, why isn't it exploding? That's what I thought when the police were shooting at the tank. You're like, why is it? Usually they blow up by now. Uh-oh. And then cut.
It'd be funny if someone taps him on the shoulder and goes, we're in a Christopher Nolan movie. This is real. This is real,
no.
Bro.
We're in a Christopher Nolan movie. We're dead. Everyone get out of here.
I didn't like how the ending portion of it. I like the beginning part where Batman's standing with them and it's the good guys versus the bad after the Batwing takes out the two tanks and they have that full-on brawl. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really shot well. I wasn't talking about the dumbass that was shooting. Oh, I'm gonna shoot the tank. I was like the hand-to-hand combat sequence of the mercenaries taking on the police. That was the portion I was talking about. It was shot well. That was all in IMAX, and I thought they shot it perfectly well. Like literally, camera work was excellent on it. Like
they showed everything.
Yeah, it was great.
That's one.
Yeah, it was a great sequence. Like hit that, and then Bane, and then Batman going toe to toe with Bane again, and then Batman got the higher ground. He got higher ground, but yeah, that was a great build up sequence, that fight, and then and again, I just loved like seeing the Batwing or the Bat, that his flying vehicle. That thing was so cool, like to be, because I loved it. I love that vehicle. That was all that, like every vehicle in this movie, in this series or trilogy, was awesome.
So
Tumblr
cool,
was
so
great.
epic.
The Bat Pod itself was great, and I just love this, like just the banner between Catwoman and that, like, okay, you need to thrust the fraud on. She goes, I got it. Like Catwoman knows what she's doing. Yeah, she's doing it in heels, and she has no problem like maneuvering that, and she didn't fall off the thing once. Batman's fallen off it like multiple times. I'm like, man, you might need to get some more lessons on that. And then again, the whole chase sequence too. Like, I mean, I give props. Gary Oldman was great in this movie too. Like he's great as Oldham, and then I just love the sequence after Gordon finds Bane, and he rolls down the thing, and Bane's like, go after him. How? He just hands him the guy's phone, shoots him, and then pushes him down the water. And it's like, I just love that sequence. It's just like, that's just Bane's like no nonsense. Like, I'm surprised he didn't rip his head off right there. Like, no, dumbass, you got to go after him. Well, how am I supposed to do that? He just shoots him. But I mean, this like just that whole chase sequence at the end was great, and like leading up to like trying to get the core back to the reactor. Like the music was well with it. Batman flying around, Catwoman just being awesome. Like it just, that sequence was like, it kind of reminded me, not really, but it kind of did. It took me away from the moment where Talia reveals herself, and then yet when you see the chase sequence, we're getting to the big build up. I thought it was a good chase sequence, and then the whole makeout sequence. Well, I guess for suckers, then the makeout before the explosion happened. Yes. That's DC for you. You know, when there's an explosion about to happen or people are dying, the hero's got to make out.
Let's touch tongues right now.
But I also like it when Gordon's trying to slip the the thing inside that bomb to try and stop the signal from getting jammed up. I like that because I was on the edge of my seat when I saw that sequence. I'm like, oh crap, is he gonna be able to make it or not? That was the biggest question. And then, you know, I liked how this wasn't shaky cam. We were able to see everything, which is this is something I appreciate from Nolan, is the fact that we get to see all the action sequences. It's not shaky cam. We're able to see when Bane is trying to take down Batman, and Batman's trying to take down Bane. The whole action sequences, like you mentioned, Charlie, with the mercenaries is fantastic, and especially the way that they shoot the shots. I like that whole entire aspect of it. I thought that the fight sequences were really good in it. And then even the action sequences whenever they were because it could have been easily a shaky cam moment. Whenever Gordon is over there trying to tamper with the bomb and he drops it. Oh my God, shaky cam time. And they start shaking the camera as far as suspense and everything. And they don't do that. And that's something that I'm really happy about. And everything about Gordon, to me, it feels a need. It motivates the plot. They give Gordon a lot to do in the first two films, which is something that I'm really thrilled about. He's not on the sidelines. He's out there playing in the Batman field and everything, and going on ahead, putting everything he has into the city that he loves, just like Batman does. And then when he goes on ahead and asks him, so who are you? And he winds up saying, it could be something as just as easy as getting a little boy a blanket to put around his arms. Bruce?
And tell him it's going to be okay, and that the world has.
And tell him it's going to be okay. Right.
Yeah.
And tell him it's going to be okay. Yeah.
That was a busy night, dude. There were like 4 orphaned kids that night. Right? You got to give me some.
And then and then it leads to the big Batman taking over, and then trying to I'm going to take it out over the river, and it's like that sequence was shot so well, so well. And I believe Batman is not dead. I'll let you guys mention that first, and I'll tell you why.
Can I go back to the fight, the final fight?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Batman and Bane. Like, what? I also love that scene so much. That huge battle. That was great climax point. But I loved specifically in that fight when they're throwing hands and there's this moment right when Batman punches Bane in the face and his mask starts to break where the music just like the bass just drops on that part. And I was like, ooh, that was a sexy move by the soundtrack. That was incredible. I loved that part so much. The only thing I hated about that final bit with Bane is that they kind of killed him like a punk. I was just like, oh, I want Batman to be the one to take out Bane. It's like, oh, no, he gets shot by Catwoman. I'm like, oh, all right. Sorry, Bane, you die like a punk.
But she has that great one-liner. You're a fan about guns? Not fan. Just shoots him. Like, not really fan about your theory about guns. And it's just the counter opposite to, and that's why opposites attract. That's why the two of them were perfect. Tense, Morgan Freeman, love your girlfriend here.
She's a catch.
But yeah, I thought that was actually like last string too, to be honest with you, Alex, with her shooting Bane, because I was expecting a toe-to-toe battle with Batman and maybe Batman locking him up or something within that. But no, instead she just comes in there, blasts him. That's the end of Bane. I'm
Batman,
like, okay,
he gets stabbed and he couldn't really move and he was about to get choked out.
True, but I'm doing like a what-if scenario. It'll be all right. In our universe, he's able to do it.
Get up. Get your ass up. Beat up man.
Hey, he just got done doing rehab in a pit. He can survive that.
Yeah,
he can survive that.
He climbed out the pit. He's Batman. He got stabbed.
Time,
No, he's Batman. Batman don't get stabbed. He all right. He can fight Darkseid and all that. And he can take a knife.
You can take the knife.
Yeah, you bleeding.
Yeah, he bleeding to death. He all right. He ain't gonna bleed to death.
He'll be all right. He'll be all right.
Bleeding. He ain't gonna bleed to death. He's Batman. It's fine. Get up. Keep fighting.
Get up, bitch.
I paid money to see Batman.
Bleed. Take a knife.
Yeah, he ain't gonna get stopped by a knife. Come on.
No. Not in our Batman universe. No, Alex. No.
Or a nuclear bomb.
But also too, whenever we see the cops being hung, that was also another dark moment inside this movie though too, that I was really surprised that they actually had. And I was like, ooh, okay, so it's all stakes here. Anybody can die. Gordon can die. This is it. This is a trilogy. Usually in a third film, someone close to the main character is going to die. It's inevitable. And I was thinking maybe Gordon might end up dying in this universe, but he winds up surviving. But you have that sense of danger of no one is safe in this movie. And that's something that I liked. It didn't feel like a cartoon character of Gordon when I can survive anything because I'm Commissioner Gordon. I'm close friends with Batman. No, this is actually basically him walking on thin ice, literally walking on thin ice, hoping that somebody would actually save him. And that's something that I liked about that. Now, I don't really have a theory as to Charlie's thing here because at first, and 3 years ago, a lot can change in 3 years. But I said, and I'll own up to this for people that actually listen to my older episodes when I was just doing audio podcasting in my car. But I owned up to the fact that I did tell D that, and him and I both agree that there's no way that he could survive. By giving the movie this go round, I can say well, of course he does survive because of the fact that we get the ending, but the realistic terms of if he could live and everything, he's alive. And I'll let Charlie explain why.
Oh, go ahead, Alex. I want to hear what you like.
He's Batman. He can survive nuclear explosions. Nuclear explosion is not gonna. It's Batman. Come on now. He's like, people are saying, oh, he had a eject button or the autopilot was working. Like, no, he's Batman. His ship blew up. And he was like, all right, time to swim. He ain't gonna get stopped. He made too much money making these movies to get blown up. He's like, I got Anne Hathaway waiting for me in Paris. I ain't gonna die right now.
I gotta meet my butler, who's not gonna say anything to me but wave to me as he intended to have at the very beginning in his dream.
I'm
not gonna die in this.
Hey, don't interrupt me. I'm with the girl right now. It's just what's up, though.
I mean, when I first saw this back in 2012, I knew he survived. I just knew with all the elements, like autopilot was fixed, to the mother's pearls being gone. And how the heck would Joseph Gordon-Levitt be able to get those coordinates unless unless Bruce Wayne did it to him that? Because everybody's like, oh, well, he had a lot of time. There was a gap between him getting out of the pit and then back to Gotham. Not enough time for that. He's got an explosion. He's got to survive. But
he has to change all the passwords. It would have been different.
Because there's a lot of people that are saying he didn't. If they didn't mention the whole autopilot comment, if that hadn't been mentioned at all throughout the whole movie, I would have believed he was dead. Because like you see here in the beginning, like the Morgan Freeman makes a mention in the autopilot. Bruce Wayne mentioning later on, like, yeah, it's nice. Wish the autopilot was fixed though. Autopilot, that's what you're for. I mean, you hear it, and it's like it was like mentioned 3 times, and that's like, and then that's how you knew it was fixed. And then how does, like, because I know Michael Caine had that whole that theory is like, I see you, some wife and a kid, and a couple kids. I don't say anything to you. Like that one was kind of like, okay, it could be dreaming, could be not. Then again, Michael Caine has been involved with the whole idea of the dream with Inception. But then he gets, how would he have known it's Anne Hathaway? And how would you know it's Catwoman? And how would you know because the pearls? And then the whole idea of the missing pearls is missing from the manifest. We can't have missing pearls missing. And then there I saw this article that was actually written, like that was updated in December of 2021, and talked about how Batman escaped. And I was like right at the end. So I read it. I'm like, interesting. So there's more ideas in it. So some are suggesting like this makes it so the camera angles too. When you see the close up of Bruce Wayne and like the Batman right when the bomb's about to explode, that didn't happen in chronological order. There's a lot of ideas with the camera work or the camera that or the scenes they shot to make it miss out of order to make you think that he's in there. He could have jumped out a long time ago because that's what this article mentioned about the the close up on Batman right when it exploded. That didn't happen right then. That happened a while back. So it was a scene like what Nolan did here. He maneuvered it to make it seem like the whole idea of like misdirection, what the eyes see and the ears hear, the mind believes. That's why there's a lot of people that believe that about about like the close up on Batman right before it blows up. But that's not true because that didn't happen at that scene. Because I was like, because it just didn't add up. Then there was another one that suggested, well, autopilot, he hit the eject button and flew away. And there's another one that was like, I kind of wanted to see this, but remember how like in how the tumbler turns into the Bat Pod? There is some suggestion that the Bat, he pressed something and it turned into an underwater vehicle because it's a long swim back to town. There's some speculation that the bat turned into a submarine, and that's how he was able to get back to shore. And I was like, interesting. That's interesting, and I kind of wanted to see what that other vehicle is. But yeah, so it's like it could have been a vehicle that could go underwater so as to provide some shield against the radiation from the bomb. And would have enough speed to get him back to the blast. Considering non-linear shots, Batman could have ejected himself from the plane flown miles in time. So again, there's a lot of theories, but I definitely think that it's easily Batman survived. He's with Catwoman and living in Europe, and yeah. So yeah, I mean, but I kind of wanted to now I was reading that. I kind of want to I want to see that submarine vehicle. I want to see that underwater vehicle. And because if it's anything that looked like the tumbler, I want to see this giant tank in the water.
That'll be interesting to actually see that, to be honest with you. Yeah. It just sucks that they never had any extended versions for this film at all. It is its own movie, which sucks. Yeah. But I would love to see that, though. Yeah. I would love to see the Batmobile whatever it's going to be, the Bat Submarine or whatever they want to call it.
Batmarine.
Sub.
The Batmarine. Yeah, there we go.
The Marine or whatever. I mean, and I think that's the cool part about Nolan, about these ambiguous endings. This one's not as ambiguous, but it's the thought-provoking because it makes you talk about what you've seen and makes you want to watch it again. That's why I loved Inception so much, because it was when Sean and I at the theater, like that was my first employee sneak. We stayed after, and we were immediately talking about that movie. Was he a dream? Was it a dream? Was it reality? I mean, that's a good ending for me. Not ambiguous, it's like I don't like ambiguous endings. But if it's an ending that you can make you think, and there's a lot of evidence in the movie that kind of points to your either theory, I love that. If it's an ending that's horrible and there's no resolution for it, I'm like, why am I going to watch this again? I hate those endings. This one it's not as ambiguous as Inception, but but there's still a lot of theories of why he's dead, why he isn't. But I think it's more on the safe side to saying Batman survived, because that's kind of because we don't want to see Batman die. Like it's very hard to realizing Batman's dead, and because that's never happened. That usually rarely ever happens. Superman dies all the time, but we don't get Batman dead. So I think again the thought provoking of these endings of what Nolan does, and it gets you to think in a construct that's the greatness that is Nolan, and that's what I really appreciate, to give you evidence in the whole movie that leads to either side. But if you're right about any side can be right, but I think in this one I don't think any side can be right. I think it's more Batman lived because it's Batman.
Well, right. Well, also too, we got the ending. He tied it up in that nice little bow for us. Mm-hmm. And also tips the hat for if they want to make it, whoever wants to take over for the next film, they have Joseph Gordon-Levitt to probably be attached to it. Christopher Nolan also confirmed before that he wasn't going to have any type of aliens, any type of beings or anything like that in this universe. So that's why we, of course, got the Man of Steel universe and things like that in the DCEU and stuff like that. But, what I have to say is this. With the Christopher Nolan movies itself, it's rewatchable. Everything, it has that rewatchability compared to some other films that I've seen. And if it's able to make me look at something differently, and also too visually, and maybe I didn't see a certain scene in a certain way, and all of a sudden I go back and rewatch it again, I'm like, okay, I didn't think of it from this angle. And that's something that I appreciate with the Christopher Nolan films, is the rewatchability with it. Yeah, was I disappointed with the fact that we didn't get no aliens or anything like that? Yeah, I was. But, this is the universe of Christopher Nolan. This is his vision on what he sees as Batman. And I took it as what it is. And this is what was brought to me. And, of course, I've watched every single Batman movie in theater, and I'm still going to celebrate that in March. But this is something that I'm actually happy about reviewing and everything. And I was actually thankful for what Christopher Nolan has done since 2005 all the way up until 2012 with this series.
He did get you aliens, though. He did produce Man of Steel. He did give you the aliens feel. So he did give you some aliens, not as a director, but as a producer. So we got our alien fix with Christopher Nolan with Man of Steel, because that movie was visually stunning.
Yeah. What about your final thoughts, though, for this film, Alex?
I just think 3 out of 3. Christopher Nolan nailed it with the Batman. Definitely some things I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked more fantasy aspect of it. That's for me, that's what makes Batman really cool, that he's just a regular man that's able to rise up and take on these seemingly impossible challenges with against superhumans and all that. But other than that, solid. He gave us he led to Heath Ledger's Joker, and Tom Hardy's Bane, and Liam Neeson, I guess, as Ra's al Ghul. That was cool too. Not flagging that, but Batman Begins is kind of the. And it's we have Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, and then Batman Begins is there too. But they're all great movies, and Christopher Nolan does incredible work. So maybe hopefully one day he comes back. I would like to see his take on the fantasy aspect of comic books, but we'll see. Maybe the MCU will hire him. We'll see.
I love this movie. Final thoughts real quick. Sorry, John. I love this movie. I thought this was good. Is it as great as The Dark Knight? No. And it doesn't have to be. I do have it ranked below, like in my out of 3, it's the third lowest. But this is not a bad movie. Like you said, Alex, there's some stuff they could have fixed. Talia, and they could have killed off the Matthew Modine character a lot sooner, and this movie would have probably been a lot better. It's still great. It's a great ending to the trilogy. And this is one of my favorite posters. I had it in college. This one was watching over me at my dorm room. Like, it was like watching over me, like on my back wall, watching me sleep. This is the first poster they had for The Dark Knight Rises. I was like, I'm so happy to get this one because it was just so cool. So it was watching over me as I sleep. Batman was watching over me. Now I have John Wick, but this is okay. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a solid 8.5 out of 10 for me. And it's definitely a lot better than the last few Batmans I've seen. Well, I mean, like yeah, in the Nolan ones, like the 90s, I like this one so much better than the 90s ones. And I did like Batman vs Superman, the extended cut.
Yeah,
I liked that a lot, and I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was good. And the Alfred was good too. I don't need my thoughts on the new one. You already know it.
Right.
So my lips are sealed on that. I'll watch it free on HBO Max in 45 days.
But here's the thing that I was talking about, my best and worst of 2015 or whatever. I said, yeah, I like the extended cut, but I can't actually put that on my list because it's an extended cut. And it's not like I can say, you know what? And you can't put this on a poster for the Batman vs Superman theatrical cut. I like the extended cut better than the theatrical cut. You cannot put that on a poster. So therefore, I cannot rank that as my top or anything like that. But the extended version is so much better than the theatrical cut because it actually adds a lot more to it than that. Yeah, you still get the Martha stuff and things like that. But beneath, if you ignore that part and cut that part out, it's actually a pretty good movie. At
Batman
least in my eyes.
Scene. The Batman, for me, Batman Warehouse scene and the 2016 version, Batman Warehouse scene made an honorable mention easily because that scene was so badass. Like, Batman has punched the guy that made him snap his own neck. You don't see that anywhere else. Like, one punch, boom, snap neck. I'm like, holy shit! And like that scene, again, that movie's got complete flaws. But the Batman Warehouse scene, instant honorable mention because of that one scene alone. But
only good thing about that movie, Batman actually fought like Batman in that particular scene.
Branding too.
I'm a brat when it comes to that movie, so I won't get into that.
Cool.
But that warehouse scene though
is perfect.
That was top notch. That was the Batman I wanted.
All right. So, Alex, where can everybody follow you at if they want to go on ahead and follow you on your YouTube channel and all that good stuff?
Well, you guys can see me here at Movie Lovers Unite, but if you want to see me elsewhere, I'm also at A-Town Reviews on YouTube. You can also hit me up on Twitter or Instagram at ATownAlex3. Hit me up, follow me. Let's talk about movies.
Okay, and guess what? Alex will be back here with me again on Friday. We're going to be interviewing Dean Simone. And as a matter of fact, I actually sent him off the thumbnail just a few minutes ago and stuff like that. But we're going to be doing that at the same time, 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time as well. So that's what we're going to be doing here. He played in the movie Game Day. If you haven't seen Game Day, or if you would like to rent it for like $3 or $4, just show support to Dean, go over to our Game Day review that Alex and I did, and that's how you can support him over there. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing an old 1962 classic movie, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, part of our Black History Month. I have Rossi McCreed coming on the show. We're going to be doing that review, which is something I'm really excited about. I only saw the remake of it of Guess Who, so seeing the Sidney Poitier movie is definitely something that I really am excited about. Yes, I know about Jackass for Monday, but anyways, Alex and Charlie will be taking the airwaves on Monday without me because I am going to be taking some time off. I'm going to be taking a full week off, so therefore it allows me to go on tour on other people's channels and everything and to promote the channel a little bit. So I'm going to be going on. So I'm going to be going out on tour. But yeah, that's going to be at what time, Charlie?
I believe it's going to be
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern.
I think 10 o'clock Eastern, we can work out the logistics because we have a little bit before President's Day Monday, so we got some time. But yeah, Alex and I will be talking about Jackass Forever. It's a great movie. There's no plot to it, but if you're reviewing it for plot, you're a jackass. Not in a good way. That
Okay.
movie is so great. So great. Can't wait to talk about it.
So that's what you guys can actually be looking forward to next week. And also, too, they're going to be doing the Raid Redemption. That's going to be TBA as well. So to be announced. Another thing, too, is you guys can go on and follow me on Movie Lovers Unite on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Pinterest as well. And that's going to be everywhere they can reach me out over there underneath those same brand names. And of course, if you want to get an audio only podcast of our episode and many episodes that we do here, show some class and just go over there and just show an ounce of class and just rank us and all that good stuff and subscribe to our audio podcast. And that's how other people also wind up finding us. So go over there, show an ounce of class. Don't show some ass, just show an ounce of class and and go ahead and just subscribe to our channel and everything. Also, go over to Good Pods. Good Pods is like the social media for podcasters. And if you're someone that listens to podcasts or you're a podcaster yourself, go over there, rank individual shows, individual episodes that we do here at Movie Lovers Unite, and that also helps other people to find us. Also, too, if you want to donate to us, all you have to do is go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast, and that's how you guys can go ahead, donate $5 to $10 over there. Just hit that like button, smash that share button, smash that subscribe button, and also smash that bell in the bottom right-hand corner, allow you guys to know when we have something new coming out. And then, of course, if you want to go in and follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter, Movie Lovers Unit 0 on TikTok. And then if you're a sponsor or would like to be on the show, reach out to me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. And that's everywhere you can follow me at, everywhere that you can go on ahead and do that. All that stuff will be in the descriptions below, so that way you guys don't have to memorize anything that I just told you. So that's even perfect, right? Because I know that we all have an attention span of a goldfish. So with that being said, it's been real. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.